If women are going to be advanced in society, men have to be punished. You know, if there's going to be more visibility of gay people, you've got to punish straight people and degrade straight people.
So I'm very happy to once again say publicly what I have said a couple of times before, which is I challenge Ibram X. Kendi to a debate anytime, anywhere, any place. I'm very happy to debate a motion of his choosing.
And Dr. Gay, at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment, yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Targeted at an individual.
It's targeted at Jewish students, Jewish individuals. So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign.
A racist LGBT diversity hire at Harvard was fired for saying some ridiculous stuff about the genocide of Jews. This made the woke mob explode, and they are calling this a case of total racial discrimination. This got more heated when prominent figures got involved. Even a leader of the critical race theory movement called it racist. On the other side, controversial figure Douglas Murray called them out on their insanity and brutally trolled everybody involved. Here is one of the supposed victims being confronted about this.
Ms. McGill, at Penn, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's rules or code of conduct? Yes or no?
If the speech turns into conduct, it can be harassment, yes.
I am asking specifically calling for the genocide of Jews. Does that constitute bullying or harassment?
Now hold tight for what's about to be spewed next.
If it is directed and severe or pervasive, it is harassment.
So the answer is yes.
It is a context-dependent decision, Congresswoman.
It's a context-dependent decision. That's your testimony today. Calling for the genocide of Jews is depending upon the context. That is not bullying or harassment. This is the easiest question to answer yes, Ms. McGill.
What does she mean by context? Is she referring to the Gaza occupation argument? Apparently, the innocent Jews of today deserve to be attacked based on what happened in the past. Now take a look at the diversity hire that I was talking about.
And Dr. Gay, at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment, yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Targeted at an individual.
It's targeted at Jewish students, Jewish individuals. So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign.
Weird people. This happened to the president of Harvard that was hired as part of an admittedly racial justice program. This means that she had zero qualifications to be here. How did they even have the courage to say in this public? Anyway, let's watch Douglas slam everybody in the room.
Douglas, it is the easiest question to answer yes to. How did we get here where universities are so openly hostile to mainstream views, like, I don't know, believing there are only two genders, but calling for the genocide of Jews needs further context?
First of all, it's the result, as the Israeli president told me in an interview yesterday, of decades of moral rot in the universities. As you say, Rita, these are places where people have lost their jobs because they've identified the fact of biological sex and haven't been willing to lie about it. These are institutions that have banned, for instance, members of the Trump administration from speaking on campus. These are institutions that have spent years telling us all about microaggressions, which don't seem to care very much about the biggest form of aggression imaginable, genocide, who've told us all about, hurty feelings and the importance of stamping out hate.
Such a solid entry statement here from Douglas. People are finally waking up to this. It's gotten so bad that this woman was confident to say that stuff in public because she thought she was going to get saved as easily as she was put into that high-ranking position just because of her skin color. It's ridiculous, but it's what we've come to expect.
And who can't condemn the most obvious and evil and prominent form of hate in history when it's put to them in Congress. I mean, none of these people are fit for purpose. I said when I saw these smirking responses from people like that president of the Penn State University, the sort of I worked out at first, what's she doing? Why has she got this like knowing grin on her face? And I realized, well, first of all, it's of course sort of legalese, isn't it? It's this kind of, I'm going to give you a clever legal answer that doesn't leave my institution open to legal cases brought by, for instance, Jewish students for harassment. So she thought she was doing something terribly clever. What also, finally, I thought, Rita, was these people were talking like ChatGPT. They were just rolling out this answer. And as it happened, I
wonder what all those students in the background that hold up Gaza, signs in front of the building, would have to say to the question of whether genocide on Jews is immoral or it needs more context.
I actually asked the same questions that these leaders of major universities in America were asked. I asked the same question to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT got it right. Said actually calling for genocide is regarded as being unacceptable. So here's the interesting thing. We've got to such a state in our universities that the people who lead the universities in America are actually less moral than AI.
This is a frightening development. It really is. And like the Israeli president said, it's about a clash of civilizational values. And I want to bring you this clip. This is one of the leaders of the critical race theory movement, Ibram X. Kendi, who explains in this clip why, in his opinion, white folks are disconnected to humanity.
Now it's time to listen to some well-put-together conspiracy theories about the crime of being white.
I don't think white people worldwide have really reckoned with how much their own personal identity is shaped by constructions of whiteness, and how much that construction of whiteness prevents white people from connecting to humanity.
Yes, and I feel like you are disconnected to just how much white people have done for you. You live under a country whose culture was the first to make strides towards legislating civil rights for black people, abolish slavery both at home and abroad, and tackle the financial debt related to it. So please show some more gratitude, because those same people you are complaining about, you owe more to than you realize.
Douglas, this man is hugely influential, particularly in academia and the corporate world. The former CEO of Twitter gave his organisation $10 million to spread that bile.
Yes, of course, the organisation that he tried to set up at the University of Boston ended up being just a feast of corruption and much more. Who could have expected? Ibram X. Kendi, as people can probably tell from that clip, is not very bright. He tries to sort of construct ideas as he goes along, and
they all do.
And he wades through these piles of waffle. His books are pretty unreadable. I only read them because I'm paid to. The man is a walking philosophical and moral disaster. The interesting thing about Kendi, however, is not just that he demonizes a whole race of people, he just demonizes white people in a way that would be totally unacceptable and rightly unacceptable to do about any other race. But for some reason, people seem to think at the moment it's acceptable to do about white people. It's not just that he does that. The interesting thing, Rita, is you say, he puts himself forward for very well-paid corporate gigs. But you know one thing Ibram X. Kendi will not do is to debate his ideas.
It's a shame that whenever one of them accepts to debate, they are too emotionally charged to resist not resorting to racist accusations. Now just listen to Douglas ruthlessly blasting off on this guy.
To have his ideas, such as they are, contested. So I'm very happy to once again say publicly what I have said a couple of times before, which is I challenge Ibram X. Kendi to a debate anytime, anywhere, any place. I'm very happy to debate a motion of his choosing. I'm very happy for all the proceeds to go to a charity of our choice, and I'd like to see him show up once. But he has never had his facile ideas debated, and so I suggest there's a reason for that. He knows they don't stand up to scrutiny. Fine. Once again, he can reveal that fact to the public.
Things just got serious. If Douglas is so overly confident to invite you to a debate, then it's more likely than not that you've just said something very stupid. And not only that, but you are also successfully propagating that stupid idea onto other people too, which is why he got so passionately serious when he sent that invite. Just look at his straight, serious face. Now, going back to the diversity hire at Harvard, here's another clip of Douglas blasting her for the fact that she got such a high position after plagiarizing the work of others.
I mean, I find it pretty startling that this is a woman who became president of perhaps the most elite university in America. And she published no books. She published 11 articles in her career. And it's turned out that much of them were just plagiarized, stolen from other people. So how did she even get there in the first place?
She has 50 allegations of plagiarism against her. Douglas, my grandmother would not trust Claudine Gay to herd her goats. This woman could not be the president of Harvard. I don't understand how this happened, and yet I do. And people like me, you know, Helen Pluckrose, James Lindsay. There were so many of us early on who saw this years and years ago and who kept on saying, this thing is rotten. It's not going to go away. We were told so many times, oh, it's universities, you know, radical ideas emerge in universities, but over time they disappear. No, the rot is deep.
Deeper than ever before.
And this woman is one small representative of it. She's gone. And my big worry, Douglas, now is that they're going to say, okay, this woman is gone, the one at Penn University is gone, and you know we're going to have a new president, we're going to maybe have a new board and move on. And I think that would be such a squandering of opportunity for real reform.
Let me give you another couple of reactions to her resignation this week. Ibram X. Kendi, the author of a book called How to Be an Anti-Racist, which I think's the wrong title for it. You should just take anti out. Ibram X. Kendi said that in the wake of Claudine Gay's resignation, racist mobs won't stop until they topple all black people from positions of power and influence.
Did this guy even read past the headline, or is this tweet pure satire? Well, actually, wait. He's right. Of course, white people are not going to stop from toppling stupid diversity hires that not only have zero qualifications to be there, but also say stupid stuff like that woman did. These people are crazy.
And Ida Bay Wells, Nicole Hannah-Jones, one of the authors of the 1619 Project for the New York Times, said after the resignation, academic freedom is under attack, racial justice programs are under attack, black women will be made to pay. I mean, there are still people clinging on to this, aren't there, Ayan? This sort of, somebody must be defended simply on the colour of their skin, and all the claims of plagiarism, which would get any student chucked out, and all the inability to condemn racism, which would normally lead to condemnation, all that sort of brushed to one side, because what really matters is just the colour of somebody's skin to these people.
Notice what that woman in the tweet said. Racial justice programs are under attack. In this context, it refers to the diversity hire of black people in high-ranking positions, which the wokies justify because they claim that black people don't have equal chances at equal results because of deep systemic racism. It's truly astonishing. How can these people expect to be taken seriously when they aren't even ready to denounce the insane people they've hired?
Ibram X. Kendi is a racist. He is a certified racist. Everything, all the work he has done, all his actions are about promoting racism. And so this man is being outed. What he stands for is being exposed. And I think what's happening now is because of his exposure, the kind of, they have this magical, I'm looking for the word, the spell that they've been putting on people. Just by calling them racist, they would get what they want out of them. They would get the positions, the stature, the money. I think all of that's going to disappear. So they're now coming out in panic and saying, oh my goodness, everybody is a racist, black people will be. No, black people will benefit from this. Finally, those individuals who are black, who have worked hard for their degrees and the positions they have and their businesses, those people are going to shine. And these like mafia, mediocre mafia people, they're going to be exposed and hopefully be taken to where they belong, which is the dustbin of history.
Expose the rainbow mafia.
Now, couldn't agree more, but Ayan, just tell me, I mean, it's so much wider this for the whole of society, isn't it? Because, I mean, once these ideas of, you know, prioritizing people because of their race or their sex or their sexuality. Once those things are pushed to the forefront, then all the issues of merit get inevitably just pushed to the back. And that just has a trickle-down effect on every aspect of society, every job, every recruitment process. You're, if I can say so, I mean, you're an amazing example of merit in your own life. You escaped a forced marriage, went to the Netherlands, learned Dutch, which isn't easy, became a member of the Dutch Parliament, and built a career for yourself in Europe and then America.
One thing these diversity hire wokies refuse to acknowledge is the exacerbated racial divide their actions contribute to. They never think about how giving people positions they never earned are just going to make people hate each other even more. No matter how you spin this, I seriously can't see the systemic benefits this is supposed to have at large, with the exception of the short-term material benefits that minorities are going to get from all of this. Now, as we all know, we want a fairer society based on equality and representation, but it also cannot be denied that progress for some must come at the expense of others. And here, particularly young white men are impacted, who increasingly feel ignored in today's discussions in the name of fairness. It's important to ensure that as we strive for inclusivity, we don't unintentionally marginalize others. Here's to Douglas Murray driving in that point home.
I mean, this seems to have come about because of an idea that everything's a zero-sum game. You know, if for instance, if women are going to be advanced in society, men have to be punished. You know, if there's going to be more visibility of gay people, you've got to punish straight people and degrade straight people. And that if you're going to make more opportunities, or not even more opportunities, just put people in positions of more prominence in American society or British society, you've got to sort of beat up on white people a bit. And all the studies have shown in recent years, in America and in Britain, there was one again just a couple of years ago, that this means, among other things, that you have the left behind of white men, young white men, who nobody's speaking up for.
This idea of punishing a group for winning at something for a very long time is actually something that a lot of wokies believe. It's what feminists say all the time. It's our turn now. Thankfully for all the disenfranchised men out there, more voices started to pop up for them in the last few years. In the end, the culture is going to balance itself out. And we are going to close this off with another stellar statement from Douglas himself.
In a good place.
Well, I agree, but who'd have thought that Harvard was the place which DEI went to die?
Now, if you watch till now, let's answer Douglas first.
Reaction to the resignation of the president of Harvard, Claudine Gay, has been predictably divided. For some, the university's first black head deserved to lose her job after accusations of plagiarism and a completely shambolic performance at a congressional hearing on anti-Semitism last month.
And for others, she did not deserve a bit, and those context is hella important, you know? So whose side are you on? Spill the tea in the comments, guys. And if you want to see a Douglas Murray silencing rude woke lawyer watch, and even Douglas Murray on woke people, we have got it covered it all, just popped on the screen. We're waiting on you, so hurry up.